Well, hey guys, welcome back to Cross Timbers Bison. I'm pretty sure the Big Joe herd is ready to get out of the neighbor's property. I'm not sure why. That is interesting. Also, we've got some cows left that haven't calved yet here at the Ponderosa. I'm kind of worried about. Remember that tank we installed last year out in the hay meadow? We split that bad boy has been leaking. I got to get it right before we get the Big Joe herd out of the neighbor's property. We've got to get this tire tank patched up so it'll stop leaking, because the Big Joe herd is coming in the hay meadow really soon. I'm just doing a herd check here on the neighbor's property and went back and looked at my calendar. These guys have been in here for 2 weeks to today. 2 weeks exactly from the day we put them out here to today. And we just came through here, and we're gonna go through this back gate because that's the Ponderosa over there. This is where we dealt with some of their shenanigans. Marisa and I, when we were working on a water project, they got through this gate down here. Well, ever since then, they just kind of know that this is the way to the Ponderosa. And we were driving to come through this gate because we're going to my skid steer, and they followed us here, and this is where they've landed. And so what this does is it tells me that they want to move. Even though I feel like there's still some forage in here left. Maybe not some of their favorite stuff, but definitely all the tender stuff is probably been eaten by now. So I'm a little nervous about leaving them in here because I think they want to go right through there. As you can see, there's somebody waiting at the gate to go to the Ponderosa. So it makes you nervous. Well, speaking of one of those cows that haven't calved yet, take a look here.
Sear Brooks? That's 113.
The first born red dog in my neighbor's property. This is so exciting. This is the 113 Wolverine cow. Oh my gosh, this is so awesome. They look like they're both doing great. Looks like maybe a day or two old. Well, as we headed back through the Ponderosa, we came across this interesting little situation. And it was a good thing that I saw it, because you can easily run over these little guys. And I'm so glad I didn't. But we stopped, took the time, and didn't touch this little baby deer, but I picked Brooks up so she could actually see it. Hey guys, I'm out here in the hay meadow, and I really enjoy coming out here. It's just this particular piece of our land here. It's roughly about 18 acres, not a whole lot. I had some brush piled up here for some brush we cleared a couple years ago, but this 18 acres of this hay meadow is very inspiring. It's just a really inspiring piece of land, and every time I come out here, I'm amazed at it. And this is what I work towards. This is what we focus on. And it's been a while since I came out here. I like to leave it alone, but I want you to see what this is, okay? That, There's tons of it right here behind me. You see that seed right there? Let me scoot up here. Right here. Okay. It's kind of twisting up right here a little bit, but there you go. If you guys don't know what this is eastern gama grass. It is extremely difficult to grow, and it's an amazing native grass. I mean, like, farmers and ranchers would kill to have gama grass. It is one of the most nutritious, powerful grasses you can have on your native land, your native pastures, however you want to say it. And we came out here 3 or 4 years ago with some good friends from the NRCS, Ethan McJames and my burn buddy Cole Fagan, and we found a small patch of it, not very big, maybe 10 by 10 area. So far we've grazed it right, and we've just let it go, and it has just come back tremendously. And what you see here is these, it rained yesterday, so it's kind of laid over, these big patches in here, right in here, and right in here, and right here where I am. Thick, tall, green grass. That is all eastern gama grass. And it is so exciting to see it like this, because it's reseeding. I picked some up. It is seeding out right here. And I broke a little bit off. I'm gonna put it in a Ziploc bag and keep it. I like to just keep our seeds. You know, most of the time, this type of grass, what it looks like is Johnson grass, and that's not a grass that we want. It's not a grass that you want in your native pasture, because it'll take over, especially in hay meadows where it's cut constantly. It'll take over. But the fact that this gama grass, we've let it seed out for 3 or 4 years, plus in addition to the seed bank, already seeds left in the seed bank, it just keeps coming back, and I love it. There is some blackberries up here that need to be managed, but we've let this rest and we let it seed out, and so that's why the gama grass keeps coming back, and the bison would love to have it. It is a great grass to have. It's not part of the big four, which is Indian, switch, big and little blue stem. It's not part of those, but it is a magnificent grass for forage to have on your property. There was a big brush pile here, and it needs to be come back and burned, but it's kind of growing all around it. And we pushed a bunch of brush. All the brush right here behind me was under these trees, and we left our big pecan trees is what we left, big native pecans. So anyways, just thought I'd share that with you. Me and Bullet are out here. I'm gonna go work on our water tank. I got a little issue on it. This is from last year. We're going to kind of pick up the pieces on it and continue some work on it, because it's leaking. I'm gonna show you what the problem there is, because we're about to rotate the bison in here, and but we want this gama grass to seed out first, and then we can graze it. All right, so here's our water tank, and you can see the bottom is holding water, which is great, terrific. But here's our issue, is right here. I think, and I've had this problem before, is you can see where the water is just sitting right here on this seal around the rim of the tire. So our water is draining, or leaking, I guess you could say, right through here, right around this seal. So my idea is to go back, fill the concrete in. I've done that before. I wonder if instead of filling in the whole bottom with concrete, if I just go over the rim and build it back up, just to cover that seal. I wonder if that would work. Or do I have to fill the entire rim, inside rim of this tire, the sidewall? But we put it here. So this is our hay meadow. We split our hay meadow here, and this is what we call the burn unit, 80 acres. and that's why we have this here. So this is where Eleanor's been for a long time. She's not out there currently. I don't know where she is, but this is where she's spent a lot of her time. So what we'll do is after I patch this sill up around the rim of the tire, we'll let it dry. We'll come back, fill it up with water, see if it goes down. If it goes down, we'll know I didn't do a very good job, and that wasn't good enough. Then we can come back and seal the whole thing. I just honestly don't want to use 5, 6, maybe 7 bags of concrete to fill this bottom end of our tank when maybe I can just go patch around it. We'll see. We can try. Who knows? You got to try, and then you know, find out. Luckily, I have a bucket with me. Water. That's not a problem. Bought several deals of concrete just in case. 80-pound bags. Let's get going. Fun part. Now we finally got our consistency a little bit better. Take this, just lay it down here. Then I'm going to do all this by hand here in a second. Get quite a bit of it here. Now some of you are like, Dusty, you're going to make this really dirty and messy. You're right. There's a drain right there. We'll get a lot of this water out. All right, now I'm going to start being a kid, playing the concrete. And then blend it back into our slope off this. It doesn't have to look pretty. We just need it to be working efficiently. So that seal is kind of right in here. And I'm just making sure there's plenty of concrete on it. The water's gonna break this down a little. Probably need to get some water out of it, and that would help, but hopefully it seals okay. So a lot of you are probably wondering, why is my drain here? So one of the reasons why I put the drain here is because if you put the drain in the rim of the tire, your chances of leaks go up. And I don't want to have to patch a tire. That sounds terrible. So I put it here. Is it the lowest point? No, it's not. I've never put a drain in the sidewall of the tire. Maybe that's something I can do, but I feel like the risk of leaks goes up. And then to patch a hole in the thick tire like this makes me nervous. I can patch a concrete and hopefully it works, but doing it in a big rubber like this, it makes me really nervous. Well, here's our almost final result. We've patched it, kind of just jiggled it, honestly, and it kind of molded itself. Now blended it in back to our guts here, the main part of it where our water comes up. So hopefully we get a good seal on this, and we'll give it a try. We'll come back in a couple of days after it dries up, and we'll put water in it and see what happens. All right, we're gonna give her a try. So, looks like our patch worked. I sealed up over the rim, and we're still holding water. Looks like it worked, guys. I used literally one bag of 80 pounds of concrete, and I just kind of patched it over here. And instead of filling in the whole bottom of the tire, instead of using, I'd have taken maybe 5 or 6 bags, maybe less, maybe more. I used one and just kind of hand patched around the seal here where the rim met the original concrete, and it looks like it sealed it off. So we're good to go. I appreciate you guys asking about Gunny. Colorado Mike's his first calf ever we bought. About a week ago, we darted her with a foot injury she had. She's doing much better. She slowly healed, and I see some positive things happening there. Glad she's better. Thank you guys for asking about her. Second thing, a lot of you asked how come I didn't fly my drone to find the Big Joe herd that was on our neighbor's property. Couldn't find them that morning. Made me really nervous. The hot wire was off too. Sent alert to my phone. So one reason I didn't fly the drone that morning is, one, I didn't have it. When you go out there, you can typically find them, but I couldn't find them that morning. They were hiding in the woods. Two, speaking of the woods, when you fly the drone, you can't see a lot. You can't see very well, aerial-wise, bird's eye view, through the canopies. So if they're down in the creek where there's lots of trees and stuff, yeah, you can't see them actually through the canopy because the deciduous trees are so thick right now. And, you know, if it was in the winter or fall when the leaves are gone, I probably could have spotted them. So in this situation, a drone wouldn't have helped me. Thank you guys for watching us. We'll see you guys soon. We're going to keep on bison ranching.